ceremony will begin in a few minutes. The ceremony will begin in a few minutes. If you want to talk amongst yourselves, it's fine. It'll start here in just a couple minutes. So. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats and turn your cell phones off or on vibrate. The ceremony will begin in 2 minutes. Good afternoon, and welcome, distinguished guests, friends and family, to the Welcome Home ceremony honoring the soldiers of the 191st Military Police Company. It is my great honor to be part of this special occasion. I am Major Justin Huber, and I will be your Master of Ceremony. Before we begin our Welcome Home ceremony, I'd like to explain that it is customary that we stand for the entrance of the official party, the playing of the national anthem, and the invocation. It is appropriate that during the playing of the national anthem, all present, except those in uniform, should stand at attention facing the flag with their right hand over their heart. Members of the armed forces will come to the position of attention. Veterans who are present and not in uniform may render the military salute. All others should remove their headdress. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the entrance of the official party. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce the Honorable Tammy Miller, Lieutenant Governor of the great state of North Dakota, the Honorable John Hoven, United States Senator of North Dakota, the Honorable Kevin Kramer, United States Senator for North Dakota, Major General Alan Gorman, the Adjutant General of the North Dakota National Guard, Command Sergeant Major Jason Magnuson, Senior Enlisted Leader of the North Dakota National Guard, and Chaplain Timothy Stout, 131st Military Police Battalion Chaplain.
I invite you to pray with me. Almighty and everlasting God, our dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you would be present here with us this day as we welcome home the soldiers of the 191st NP Company. I ask that you would be with them and bless each one of them, just as you are the one who watches over the sparrows and dresses the grass with flowers and count the hairs on their very heads, that they would know in this transition process that you are with them, that you give them courage and strength, and you protect and watch over them and all those that they love as they come home. We ask all of this in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Stout. Please take your seats. I would like to recognize additional guests in our audience. Please hold your applause to the end. Brigadier General Jackie Huber, Deputy Adjutant General. Brigadier General Jonathan Erickson, Army Commander. Colonel Deb Lean, North Dakota Army National Guard, Chief of Staff. Chief Warrant Officer Robert Dorneman, North Dakota Army National Guard Command Chief Warrant Officer. Command Sergeant Major Eric Binstock, North Dakota Army State Command Sergeant Major. We would also like to recognize other members of the North Dakota National Guard, our senior leadership, veterans, employees, families, and friends. Thank you all for attending this event. Please give them all a warm welcome. We are here today to recognize the soldiers of the 191st Military Police Company, their families, friends, communities, and employers that supported them during their recent mobilization. With that, I'm honored to introduce our first guest speaker, the Honorable Tammy Miller. Please join me in welcoming Lieutenant Miller.
It's a great day in Fargo, beautiful day outside. Thanks for coming inside, and I'm happy we don't have any competition with Vikings football later this afternoon. To our 191st soldiers, welcome home and thank you. Thank you so much for your service. We as North Dakotans don't take our freedom for granted, and we are very grateful for your service. Our North Dakota Guards members, men and women, have proven time and time again that they are some of the best Guard units in the country. And every organization has really great leadership, and it starts at the top. With Major General Al Dorman, we are so grateful for his leadership as our Adjutant General. He and Command Sergeant Major Jason Magnuson make sure our Guard members are well prepared for their mission, whether it's at home or abroad. We are also extremely grateful for the leadership of Captain Johnson and First Sergeant Gowan. Their leadership was key to this mission's success. Let's have them all stand and give them a round of applause. Thank you so much for your leadership. We are also fortunate to have an amazing congressional delegation with us today. We have Senators Hoeven and Kramer. We also have Representative Armstrong, who is not able to join us today, but we can count on them every day for their great advocacy in Washington, D.C., and their great support for our military, not only with their words, but with their actions. Let's give them a round of applause. It's hard to believe that Thursday, September 14th, marked a year since the send-off of these soldiers from the 191st Military Police Company as they prepared to deploy to Southwest Asia in support of CENTCOM's Operation Spartan Shield. While for some of us it might seem like just yesterday, I'm sure for the soldiers and the families it seems like a long time. Families who were back home taking care of children, getting them to school, activities, church, taking care of the household, often while maintaining full-time jobs. We know there were many key milestones missed, birthdays, anniversaries, and lots of holidays. Whether you're a husband, a wife, son, daughter, mother, father, aunt, uncle, grandparent, cousin, or best friend, you've endured the stress of missing your loved ones and counting down the days until they returned. Now they are home safely. Let's have all of our 191st soldiers please stand and be recognized for your incredible service and sacrifices for our country. To borrow a line from John Denver, I'm not a singer, I wish I was, but hey, it's good to have you back home again. Please stand. on their mission without the support of their families, those families who wear a lot of hats while their loved one is deployed. Let's have all of the families now stand and let's thank them for their unwavering support of their soldiers. We also know that in addition to this amazing family support, a lot of our Guards members could not do their mission work without the support of their employers back home. When I was the CEO at Border States Electric, we had many Guards men and women working at Border States as employee owners. And in 2015, I'm proud to say the company received the Pro Patria Award from the North Dakota Committee for Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. The award recognizes employers who provide extraordinary support for their employees who are serving in the Guard and Reserve. And although Border States was extremely proud to receive the award, we were more proud to have National Guard men and women working for the company because they brought incredible technical and leadership skills to the workplace. We were grateful for that, and I'm sure all employers are. Let's give all of the employers who are supporting our Guards members a round of applause. Since the global war on terror began, the Guard has evolved from a strategic reserve into an operational force with 24/7 missions around the world. The latest overseas mission built upon our strong record of service in Operation Desert Storm and Desert Shield, and your deployment to Iraq in 2008 to 2009 in the global war on terror. On Monday, just last Monday, it was the 22nd anniversary of 9/11. On that day, we honored those who served in the global war on terror. My husband and I were in Bismarck, and we joined Team Red, White, and Blue, and we did a short walk to the Global War on Terror Memorial at Frayne Barrack. At the memorial, we honored and remembered the 29 North Dakota servicemen and women who have been lost in the global war on terror, making that ultimate sacrifice, including 14 members of the North Dakota National Guard. We owe it to them to never forget their ultimate sacrifice. We have not forgotten their courage and the price they paid for our freedom, and we never will. We also want to thank the veterans and the veteran service organizations who are here today. Would all of our veterans please stand? We cannot thank you enough for your service. Please stand. You may have heard that with Governor Burgum, we are working very hard to make North Dakota the most military-friendly state in the country for veterans and active duty. And we are also working to honor your service with a new North Dakota Military Museum. It's my pleasure to serve on the JMAC, the Joint Military Museum Advisory Council. We are in the process of working on the design for the new military museum, which will be on the Capitol grounds. It will be connected to the North Dakota Heritage Center and State Museum. It'll be a mix of public and private funding, and it will preserve and honor the rich military history of North Dakota. Finally, to our soldiers of the 191st Military Police Company, we are so grateful for your service. Thank you for carrying on the rich tradition of our North Dakota National Guard, of the Guard members who came before you. You have earned our deepest respect and gratitude for your service. Thank you for protecting our freedoms. We know freedom isn't free. We enjoy it only because of your brave service. Thank you for your service and welcome home. May God bless you, God bless the great state of North Dakota, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Miller. Next, I would like to introduce Senator John Hogan.
Thanks, Major. Appreciate it. And great to be here with all of you. I was with the 188th ADA Air Defense Artillery yesterday. That's a send-off, about 80 soldiers going over to CENTCOM 2. And of course, it was an honor to be there. But I got to tell you, and it's an honor to be here. But I got to tell you, I like to welcome homes better than when we send you all off to serve our nation. So it's always a little tough, you know, to see the families and the little kids, and to know that they're going to be separated, you know, for a year. And so that, you know, that always tugs at the heartstrings, and you realize that it really does, you know, put a burden or a sacrifice on the family member that stays home and all the work that they now have to do all by themselves instead of y'all doing it as a team. So that part's always a little tough on the send-offs, but, you know, your heart bursts with pride at the way all of you and your sisters and brothers throughout the North Dakota National Guard step up and serve. And I'm going to talk unit in the North Dakota National Guard, and you all are. But I do want to acknowledge our dignitaries here today. I want to thank Major Lieutenant Governor. It seems to me I'm seeing more of her these days around the state. I'm not sure why. Is there anything going on, Tammy, that, you know? Reference. Yeah, okay, anyway, but she's doing a fabulous job. And of course, we love Governor Burgum too, very much, and he does a great job as governor. I want to acknowledge Kelly Armstrong, who Kevin and I truly enjoy working with. He isn't here today, but certainly great to be here with my partner in the Senate, Senator Kramer, who does an incredible job for the state as well. And Adjutant General Al Dorman. Now, this guy's getting a little long in the tooth, but I think he still does the job. What do you all think? Huh? Come on. Kevin, I just realized how dangerous it is because he follows me in the order. And he's crafty. Don't laugh when he retaliates, okay? Just kind of go groan or something like that. Okay. And Command Sergeant Major Magnuson, great to be here with you. And Chaplain Stout, most important that you're here. We appreciate you being here and thanking the Lord for all of us, for these great families, and of course, most of all today, thanking the Lord for bringing back these brave soldiers. So we appreciate you, and we appreciate the Lord every day, and of course, today is special because we get to welcome all of you, and the fact that He brought you all back is beyond belief in terms of how we can express our thanks for His grace. The 188th Army Band, I don't know, but I mean, they're all pretty awesome. But tell me, the tuba, did you hear that tuba going around in the Star Spangled Banner? I mean, pretty awesome for those of you that like bass. So if you all wanted to give the 188th a little round of applause, it'd be okay. Thanks. You know how musicians are. They kind of like to do it for the money, but these guys aren't making the big bucks, I don't think. So a little acknowledgement and thanks, because they had so much, guys. You're awesome, amazing, great soldiers, but really awesome musicians as well. Do you have any legislators out there? If we do, for our North Dakota legislators, stand up and give a wave so we can acknowledge you. I don't see any, but they give great support to all of you men and women, as they should. And we want to thank them for it, so they keep doing it. But it's important that they do give all that great support. Also, right up front, I want to acknowledge Captain Nathan Johnson and also your First Sergeant Jeremy Gowan. Guys, give another wave. Great job, great leadership. No, don't be, yeah, I know. You got, yeah, exactly. Let's go. We know you're not shrinking violets, or you wouldn't be leading all these Type A gung-ho guys and men and women. Thanks for your great, strong leadership, for getting everybody over there, for getting the job done, and for getting them all home. Thank you, and God bless you. And I know the strong leadership that each of you showed is reflected in every single one of your 153 soldiers. And so thank you for that incredible leadership. 153 soldiers from 35 communities in 7 states, obviously predominantly North Dakota, but also that other Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Montana, Kansas, Wisconsin, and I think I wrote down Florida, but that seems too far away. Did I get that right? There's a guy from Florida? Did you all mess with him? Come on, be honest. No, I'm kidding. But pretty awesome. 35 communities, 7 states, and the stats. I'm not going to recite all the stats, all I should, because as usual, you totally kept behind. And your stats, your performance stats are just awesome, off the chart. And obviously, we're very proud of it. But I kind of feel sorry for the other guys that have to follow you because it's kind of hard. And I'm not just saying that. I know it's true. We have so many of you that are deployed all over, and you set a tempo that, frankly, others can't meet. And sometimes they can, but not very often. And so now let me just touch on deployments for a minute, and then I'll hand it over to Kevin. He's a lot better speaker than I am anyway. But I've been at this war, we've been at the war on terror for over 20 years now. And, first as governor, now as senator, I've been part of sending you off and welcoming you home and then going over to visit you now for more than 20 years. And it's really too bad that we have something like that goes on and on, but thank God we have all of you so that you protect us and protect freedom-loving peoples across this world. And your deployments are really remarkable. Iraq in 2008, Haiti in 2010 and 11, Cuba in 2012. Here at home, Dakota Access Pipeline, the DAPA, which was a really tough situation, and you guys handled it unbelievably along with our marvelous law enforcement, and the eyes of the country were on you. That was 2016. Afghanistan, 2018. The assistance with law enforcement in 2020. And then the COVID response in 2020 and 21. You guys won awards. I think the 50 for the Iraq tour here I have in 2021, Superior Unit Award, and then of course now returning from Kuwait, from CENTCOM, here in 22. That's since 9/11. And remember, this week we recognized 9/11 when all of this started, this war on terror. Since then, y'all have been deployed 9 times. 9 times. 88 yesterday, 13 times. 13 times. That is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I did something yesterday, and I may do it again today, but I got to ask General Dorman first. Maybe I don't need to, because are we going to bring them across the stage for the guys who've been deployed once, twice, 3, and 4, so they'll get recognized for that? Yes. Yeah, because yesterday I had all the 80 soldiers deploying for the 188th, had them all stand, and then had them sit down based on if they'd been deployed once, twice, 3. We got up to 6 deployments. So think of that, 6. So I'll just set that here, because y'all are going to see that today. As you're recognized for this deployment, then we'll recognize others that have been deployed 2, 3, 4 more times. Just unbelievable. And that brings me to kind of the last thing that I really want to cover with all of you, and that is we must always recognize and never take for granted the professionalism of our soldiers, of our military, of all of you. And sometimes, you take things for granted. We can't do that with the military we have. We have a military that is exceptional by historical standards. You all, as the National Guard, go all the way back to the Minuteman, the very first men and women that showed up to fight for freedom for our country at a moment's notice. That's your heritage. But think about our military right now. First off, it's it's superior to any military in the country. First, it's all volunteer. You all signed up. You all volunteered. You were not drafted. Think about Russia over there now. Putin, right? He's letting people out of the jail if they'll go into the military. And they're dragging them off the streets. That's the kind of military he's got. Not a great way to have a motivated force with an esprit de corps, is it? You all stepped up, said voluntarily, I want to serve my country, and I'm putting it all on the line for my country. All volunteer force. That's amazing. Second, the training. The training you all have is superior to any other military. Incredible training. The tools you have, the weapon systems, we make sure you have the best weapons, the best tools, and we must always do that. You must always have superior weapons and tools to any foe, any adversary that you face. And then combine all of that with the fact that we are 20 years in this war on terror, and we'll see the multiple deployments. We'll see how many of you have been deployed multiple times, and all of you that have been deployed this time, and the ones we continue to send. That is combat-tested experience. It is a combat-tested, experienced force. It's a force like none other. That's our military. And now let's add one more thing, the National Guard. All those things I just talked about for the military, and then add all your life experiences in the civilian world, all those capabilities now that you bring and add to that elite military I just described. That is an incredible, powerful force for America. And I would submit an incredible, powerful force for good in this nation. And I guess the only final point that I have left to make is that there's 50 National Guards, and I know which one's the best. It's the North Dakota National Guard. Welcome home, guys. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hoban. Next, I would like to introduce Senator Kevin Kramer.
Thank you very much. John disappointed me a little. I thought for sure he was going to pick up where the Lieutenant Governor left off and sing some John Denver for us. He's the one guy up here who can sing, by the way. But that said, he set the table very well. It's great to be with you always, Senator, and you're a good partner and a good mentor. Lieutenant Governor, great to see you. And quite honestly, I mean, I'd call you into duty whether the boss is running for president or not. I think it's really great to have you here. And I think particularly your background as an employer is most relevant on a day like today. And I'm so grateful to all of the employers. In a workforce constrained economy like we have right now, we know that's a big sacrifice to give up some of your talent for the greater good, for the greater cause of protecting liberty, not just here but around the world. So thank you to all of you. To all of the Guard leadership, I can't say thank you enough, and especially, obviously, to our leaders on this particular mission. So, Nathan, thank you. Thank you for Sergeant Golan, and all of you. All right. So, I could just say ditto, and we'd all be fine and you'd go. And I might get a standing ovation if I did that, but I'm gonna settle. What the Lieutenant Governor said about military friendly, it's an important point of emphasis, I think, Lieutenant Governor. I think you and the Governor and the legislature in the last couple of sessions deserve a lot of credit for taking what is already a bit of a natural patriotism that we have, and that's reflected certainly in the men and women in uniform, the families that sacrifice so much, and the employers as well. But there's more to being military friendly than just a sense of patriotism. Policy matters. Policy matters. The incentives matter. The ability for spouses to carry their license with them into a new state if you're moving from one place to the other matters. The ability to see a medical professional on a video screen and know that their license is good here as well as it is anywhere where they might be. And all the other things, these things matter, and great progress has been made in recent years, and congratulate the state leaders for doing all of that. But when I think about what can you say that's not going to already have been said or is going to be said, and by the way, I can hardly wait for the rebuttal from General Dorman. He's very clever, and I wouldn't challenge him the way Senator Hoban did, but I'm looking forward to it. I was thinking, as I was riding over here, and I visited with General Dorman a little bit. When I think about this history of the 191st, particularly the last 22, 23 years during this war on terror fight, and obviously the domestic missions have been critical to it, critically important. Those of us that live in Washington, D.C., that hang out, that actually attend presidential inaugurations, we're really grateful to know that you're there. Obviously, during the DAPL protests and riots, lots of bad things could have happened that didn't happen because you were there. But when I think about Haiti and helping recovery from a major earthquake, Cuba, obviously, when I think about Kuwait now, and by the way, of all the places in the world I've visited, military men and women, Kuwait City might be my favorite. Well, actually, that's just where we hung out. When we went out to see the soldiers, is really quite different. Here's what comes to my mind. And Senator Hogan did a good job of talking about what you bring to the fight, right? What you bring to the fight. It's really important. You're not much of a deterrent if they don't fear you, right? But we're living at a time, ladies and gentlemen, when our world is looking for more than just might. Every time we retreat from a hotspot, whether it be in Asia or the Middle East or Africa or somewhere else, even Europe, when I say we, I mean the United States of America, with our moral global responsibilities being the most blessed nation in the world. Every time we leave a spot like that, somebody else fills that void. And that somebody else isn't us. And that somebody else is not anywhere near us. And that somebody else doesn't carry the moral authority that the United States of America carries. I happen to know this for a fact, that in Kuwait, you were welcome. More than welcome. You were honored because you bring with you American ideals and values. And we're living at a time when hard power is important, but soft power is probably more important. And when I think of all the soft power that, say, USAID brings or the State Department brings, we just sat in on a briefing last week with the inspectors general from USAID and the State Department and the Department of Defense. It's important stuff, but when you when the men and women wearing the American uniform and bring the military might to a mission where you're facilitating trade, peaceful trade, or you're facilitating just peace in general, that's pretty cool. Because that's not coercion, that's collaboration, that's persuasion. That has value beyond our might. And it actually prevents worse things from happening. And by the way, for my friends who think that we're in too many places, I understand that. We can't be the world's police force. But wherever we are not, somebody else is. And so we're having this global discussion about what's appropriate. And let me just tell you, you're appropriate. You're appropriate. Even going back to the founders knew this. I mean, my 10th great grandfather came on the Mayflower, and we knew it was we were global leaders already. My 6th great grandfather died at Bunker Hill. He was one of those Minutemen, the first day of the Revolutionary War. They knew that. Abraham Lincoln knew it when he gave the greatest speech in presidential history, and I'm not talking about the Gettysburg Address, but his second inaugural address. Remember that wrap-up, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right? Let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds, to care for him who shall have borne the battle, for his widow and the orphan. And then, he wrapped it up, and then, to achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves, and with all nations. Even he knew that America's leadership mattered. And in the Sermon on the Mount, when Christ said, "You're the light of the world," a city on a hill cannot be hid. I know a lot of people think Ronald Reagan made that up. He didn't. He quoted it. He quoted it. We're still that city. And there are some that look at it as a dark place. And I just want to encourage you, thank you for being a light. Not just for having light, but being a light on another continent far away, that your sacrifice and the sacrifices of your families and your employers were so that you could be a light. Because we're not going to solve the world's problems duking it out. I hope not. We need to be ready to. You guys, we need to be ready to. But in that same Sermon on the Mount, Christ said, blessed are the peacemakers. So when you're down there keeping the peace, really important stuff. But when you're far away, making the peace, blessed. That's blessed. Thank you for all you do. God bless you.
Thank you, Senator Kevin Kramer. Next, I'd like to welcome Major General Norman.
Ditto. You probably thought I was serious, but it's part of my job description to give short speeches. I think I'd still be at Senator Holman height. And I should have left it. That was gracious of you, but anyway, it's good to be here. Senator Holman already pointed out I'm very old. So I'm glad I got up here under my own power. I'm going to try to muddle through this short, unremarkable speech that I put together. Probably saying the same things that have already been said, but I'll use different words, and hopefully I'll keep it fresh for you. But in all seriousness, I want to thank all our distinguished guests up on the stage here. We give a lot of love to one another, but it's not just words. This team that we have in North Dakota, our governor, our lieutenant governor, our senators, our congressmen, when they talk about supporting our military, making North Dakota the most military-friendly state, they put their actions behind those words each and every day. So thank you for being with us today. And thanks for everyone in attendance. It's a nice day out there. I checked the calendar, not too many of these left. But thanks for being with us today, especially all our family members and friends of the 191 that came here to be part of this event. So I love all my children. And I love all my units of the National Guard. But I'll be honest with you, some of my children I like better than others someday. And the 191 MPs are one of my units of the National Guard that I just like better than other units some days. I got a history with this group. I see some of my battle buddies from the Dakota Access Pipeline protests in the back there. There's something special about this unit. I remember during that time, we brought you guys in way too early and kept you way too long. And every time I would go down 1806 by myself, you'd send out patrols to try to locate me and make sure I didn't do anything stupid. And then when we took you off mission, but we had to train some more people to do a mission. You came back in to train them so they could do the mission. I remember the George Floyd protests and riots. And we called you out on 2 successive weekends. And on the second weekend, I don't know if they're in the audience today, but I went up to a young soldier and I said, hey, sorry. Oh, sorry. Again, I'm very old. Forming words is not as easy as you speak. I'm sorry that I called you out on 2 consecutive weekends. And the reply I got back was, sir, we expected the call. That's why we're here. But that's the 191 that I knew before you went to Kuwait, and the 191 I saw when you were in Kuwait is that same unit. You guys just did an outstanding job. I'm an old Boy Scout, and one of the things we say is always leave your campsite better than you found it. And believe me, you guys left your campsite better than you found it. 30,000 personnel cleared, but you didn't just clear personnel like the unit before you did. You looked at how do we do it better? How do we make it more efficient? I saw some of those missions in action, and I know some of those teams, it's one of those missions where you might be sitting around for a while, and then all of a sudden a unit shows up and you're super busy for a while. But just because you have some time off doesn't mean you want that unit to take longer to get through the process. It was all about customer service. How do we get them? Because we've all been there. When it's time to go home, it's time to go home. And you just want to get in line. You want that line to keep moving, but you guys had to focus on that. You always improved your foxhole. You always made your campsite better. Cleared 80,000 pieces of equipment worth $36 billion. Improved base security procedures. I don't think that was even part of the core mission, but you have that expertise. You saw a requirement. It's what we expect all our National Guardsmen. If you got a job, you don't know how else to get it done, North Dakota National Guard, they'll you guys did exactly that. Again, never know the way things have been done. That's boring. That doesn't excite you when you get up in the morning. How can we get this mindset? And you gave back to communities, 100-hour volunteer service. Received Army Superior Unit Award, and frankly, I had no doubt that would have been over there. You guys just did an outstanding job. Before you left, we also asked you to come back better after the deployment, and you did exactly that. 185 college credits earned while you're over there. 27 complete military, 7 basic leader course, not a shock here, either distinguished honor graduate or maybe not excellent. And 3 of you, maybe I'll ask you to stand, 3 of you even improved the size of your families while you were gone. Who are the 3? Don't be shy. There's 1. I just want to end with some gratitude first about our employers. We can't do this without them. But also tell if any employers are here today, we're going to give you back a better employee than the one you gave us a year ago. There are leadership skills that they did not have before they left. So I can't thank our employers enough, but we're going to give you back a better employee. The family, toughest job. I'm seeing people in casts up front here, and my man, must have been horrible. Must have been a horrible year. But even without the cast and new family members and everything else, I was here last winter. It sucked. I moved, well, I didn't actually. I live on Frank Barracks. I didn't move any snow, so don't feel sorry for me. But there's a lot of snow to be moved. It was a long, long winter. Taking care of the kiddos while your spouse is deployed. It is, in my mind, the toughest job out there. So thank you for your service. For the kids, thank you for your service. We can't do what we do without the support of our families, and not just our spouses. Our kids got to put up with a lot too. So thanks to the families, and also for the friends, families, everybody in this room that helped one another out during the course of this deployment. Thanks for being part of the team. For the command team, Captain Johnson, First Sergeant Gowan, knew you guys a little bit before you left, saw you over there. You can just tell right away by looking at the company, looking at how they look back at you, that you guys were the right command team for this deployment. I heard when I was a lieutenant, somebody told me units reflect back on their leaders. And I think of my first couple of battalion commanders, and you know what? The unit culture changed a little bit with command teams sometimes. But you guys set an incredible example. You set the vision, you set expectations, you enforce those. And again, units reflecting back on leaders, you guys should be incredibly proud of what is reflecting back on the two of you after this deployment. So thank you for your service. For the officers and CO soldiers, I saw some of your mission sets. It was not a mission where the commander and first sergeant could just tell you, do this, this, and this, and then go do it that day. You needed empower leadership from the command team at the company level down to squad leaders and individual soldiers to get this mission done and to improve your foxhole every day like you did. So thank you to the entire team of the 191. You guys did an outstanding job. Should be proud of your service, proud of your accomplishments. And I can tell you it's truly my honor to be able to serve alongside of you, each and every one of you. Thank you for your service and welcome home.
Thank you, Major General Dorman. Next, I'd like to introduce Command Sergeant Major Jason Magnuson.
Being fifth speaker, there's a lot of things that have already been said. I want to just highlight a few things. So, good afternoon. Thank you specifically to the folks on our table, on our stage here. I just want to highlight the fact that your presence here really exemplifies or emphasizes the importance of what the mission set is here, and I really appreciate your attendance, so thank you. To all the other distinguished guests, representatives that are here to speak as well, to the soldiers, to the families, I want to just say, outlaws, welcome home. First of all, to the families, I want to thank you for all the things that you've done to support your soldiers. Really, everything that you have done allows your soldiers to concentrate on their mission, their tasks, and it relieves a lot of burden for them. I know there are a lot of children missing parents. There are parents of soldiers worrying about the unknowns, spouses keeping the home together. I'm sure there are large and small disasters to overcome over the year. I know stories of a dog running away with a dirty diaper are funny now, but they may have felt like the last straw at the time that it happened. Your soldiers may never understand the challenges, but trust me, they appreciate it. Next, I want to highlight the Family Readiness Group. I've heard some amazing things, so I especially want to recognize them. If I could just call out and have you stand up. The two co-leads are Abby Ritz and Keisha Olson. The treasurer was Molly Gilbert, and the secretary is Christine Johnson. If you could stand, be recognized. I'd like to thank you for your work. The work that they do to keep the families informed of what goes on while their soldiers are away is vitally important. Giving them a resource and outlet it makes the time go by a little bit faster, and just knowing what they can find out just makes things a little bit easier. I know that the unknowns are the most difficult things to deal with. To the soldiers, I know you're challenged to live up to the North Dakota National Guard history of exceeding expectations. You not only maintain that, but once again you raised the bar. When I visited in May, I heard stories from so many of you about the major accomplishments that you made. Many took over responsibilities from the previous units and found some significant gaps in customs coverage. You made connections, you found answers, you fixed problems, and ultimately you saved the United States an incredible amount of money in frustrated cargo. I didn't know what frustrated cargo meant before I got there, but it's an interesting term, and I really appreciate all the work that your team has done to prevent ships from getting all the way to the United States and then being held for a significant amount of time because they were not inspected, the processes weren't understood. The next thing I'd like to talk about is when we sent you off in September last year, I talked a little bit about the difficult job of being a squad leader. To me, the squad leader is the most important and toughest NCO bill to hold. But it's NCOs like all the squad leaders and all the soldiers we have that made this deployment successful. So I know that I talked to a number of you while we were in Kuwait. There's a number of you that were stationed all over the place that I wasn't able to talk to, but I heard outstanding things from so many of the teams out there. But there's one I want to take an opportunity to address is Staff Sergeant Seth Klein here. Not here? Who's what? Stein? Seth Stein? Sorry, I got it wrong. Sergeant Stein, can you come up here to the stage, please? I want to give you a coin from the senior enlisted leader position. Sergeant Stein was a KFAB NCOIC and had made some outstanding contributions, and I want to recognize him at this time. Please give him a round of applause. The other thing we talked about when we were sending you off is professionalism. Professionalism is something that we have to exemplify as soldiers every day. But I will say that, visiting you, seeing the work that you did in the customs role, nobody's tested on their professionalism more than the DMPs were when I saw them in the customs border protection. So I really want to thank you for all the work you did. Your professionalism was exemplary. Everybody that I met told me stories about how that might have been challenged from time to time, but you always kept that professionalism and represented North Dakota as well as we all expect ourselves to, but you did it in a very exceptional way. The other thing I have is that, so I had a chance when I did go visit, is I met the battalion leadership that the 191 was attached to, and I was talking to their command sergeant major, and just introduced myself, and I talked about the 191, and the command sergeant major said, this company is doing fantastic, and they're superb to work with. And my response was, that was what I expected. I didn't come here to see how they're doing. I came here to see how you're taking care of our company to make sure that they have everything they need. I set him back a little bit, surprised him a little bit, but if he knew the 191 like we do, he wouldn't have been that surprised. Before I close, there's a couple points. I wanted to say to the soldiers, be patient with their families at home. The family dynamics have likely changed quite a bit since you were gone. Embrace the changes. Changes likely were done for the right reasons. Embrace and grow together there. I also want to say to the soldiers to keep an eye on each other. Experiences like this have different effects on different people, and some people don't show any sort of effects to a deployment for months and months that come. So I just encourage you to take care of each other, look out for each other. If you do need help, don't be afraid to ask. That's what the help is there for. Our Guard family is a family for life, so please keep tabs on each other. So thank you to the friends and family for all your support. Thank you for the soldiers for a job well done. And once again, Outlaws, welcome home. Thank you.
Thank you, Command Sergeant Major Magnuson. At this time, I would like to invite the representative for Congressman Armstrong, Miss Mary Christie.
Good afternoon. As one of the last speakers, it's usually between the attendees and food, but today it's in between the attendees and a gorgeous fall day, and in North Dakota we really don't know how many we're going to get, so I promise to keep this short but sweet. My name is Mary Christie, and I'm honored to be here on behalf of Congressman Armstrong to share his gratitude for the service, for your service. To the members of the 191st Military Police Company, welcome home. I'm honored to be invited to your ceremony today and regret I'm unable to be with you and your families as you gather to celebrate your return from your most recent deployment. I would like to take this opportunity to express my deepest appreciation for your service to our country, the strength of the North of our state and our country. All of you played a key role in the success of Operation Spartan Shield, and your dedication and accomplishments will reach far beyond this deployment. The strength of the North Dakota National Guard also lies with your loved ones. To the families and friends here today, thank you. Thank you for your support for your soldiers before, during, and after their deployment. The love and prayers, care packages, phone calls, and letters are essential and allowed the company to focus on their mission and make it home safe and sound. It's with the highest regard for you and the families that I thank you for your service and commitment to our nation. God bless Kelly Armstrong.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Now I ask the Commander and First Sergeant, 191st Military Police Company, Captain Nathan Johnson, and First Sergeant Jeremy Gowan to come forward and render comments.
Thank you for taking time here today to honor these amazing soldiers and their families, family, friends, official party, and distinguished guests. So just to close the loop on something here, from last year, those that went to the send-off, I asked, maybe cornered or kind of called out the governor just a tish about some really pristine hunting land out west. He acted on it. My son actually got to go hunting on his land and met Uncle Ted, who is now my son's hero because he gets to go out there, he lives in a cabin, he has no neighbors, and he doesn't have to talk to anybody. So we'll close the loop. We only got one tag this year, you guys are off the hook, but pheasant season is right around the corner, so just saying. Like many of you, I received the same question kind of over and over again. We got back, so how was it? My answer always seemed to be the same. Pretty short and sweet, but I have a really hard time being very humble about this group. So it went a little something like this. You should be damn proud of the soldiers that represent this state. We're just better. We're just smarter. We're more disciplined. We use common sense. We have a work ethic. We build efficiencies. We execute missions no matter what the mission is. We're just simply better. My kids killed it. They were awesome. We took an all but dead and unsupported mission, elevated its importance across an entire theater of operation. We were assigned and sent to do a mission, nothing fancy. No matter how boring it was at times, we did it better than any other customs company did in the last decade and beyond. We were handed something broke and we just executed. We held unit and company commanders accountable, maybe even a brigade commander or two, from the 10th Mountain perhaps. We executed last-minute missions and supported those units, just trying to get home to their friends and family. We never said no. We adjusted to change flawlessly, but certainly not without its lumps, its headaches along the way. These soldiers were simply amazing. Thank you to the families that held things together back here. Your sacrifice was the same as ours, and then some. Before we left, I told my oldest that as a military child, you'll end up sacrificing more for this country than most Americans will do in a lifetime. You didn't choose this, you weren't born to this, it just stinks that your dad just chose this profession. Short term, it sucks. Long term, you'll have a greater understanding of patriotism, selflessness, sacrifice for a greater good just beyond yourself. Lastly, thank you for families for allowing me one of the greatest responsibilities I will ever begin to understand in my life. I am forever in debt to your soldier and your family. Thank you for raising them right. You should be damn proud of how they represented you. So, thank you. All right, now to the good stuff. I would like to present you, our honored soldiers and families, of the 155 mobilized, 126 mobilized for the very first time. We had a young, outstanding group. Except for Sergeant Maris. I now ask our first-time deployers to come forward to be recognized. Please hold your applause till the end. Good. Specialist Muhammad Ali. Specialist Tyler Alonji. Specialist Emery Averett, Specialist Shane Axton, Specialist Tyrell Bauer, Specialist Julian Benson, Sergeant Jordan Bent, Specialist Nathaniel Birch, Specialist Chase Blado, Sergeant Chase Bodie, Sergeant Kyle Boster. Specialist Moses Braveheart. Specialist Blaine Brewer. Specialist Eddie Brisbane. Specialist Alden Brookins. Specialist Alexander Bumgarner. Sergeant Kelly Cahoy. Specialist Cheney. Sergeant Hunter Churchill. Specialist Jake Connolly. Sergeant Matthew Cooper. Specialist Zach Cramen. Now Corporal Zach Cramen. Sergeant Corrine Dahlquist. Sergeant Jessica Davison. Specialist Ezra Diaz. Sergeant Andrew Doss. Sergeant Wyatt Dreyevich. Sergeant Jason Economos. Sergeant Bobby Edick. Specialist Bryce Egley. Sergeant Connor Elliott. PFC Christian Erickson. Staff Sergeant David Filan. Sergeant Susan Fiala. Specialist Jordan Philippi. Specialist Savon Flansburgh. Sergeant Jonathan Garvin. Specialist Anaya Gherkin. Staff Sergeant Gilbert Joseph. Specialist Carter Gillis. Specialist Kalalima Galijike. Nailed it. All right. Specialist Tobiah Gunn. Specialist Jaden Halverson. Sergeant Zach Hellickson. Specialist Logan Hellickson. Specialist Peyton Henderson. Specialist Russell Hendrickson. Specialist Ethan Henry. Sergeant Atlantis Herba. Sergeant Bo Hickman. Specialist Neil Hickman. Specialist Eric Horner. Specialist Mason Hughes. Captain Paul Jensen. Specialist Dakota Johnson. Sergeant Josh Johnson. Sergeant Shane Johnson. Specialist Tyler Johnson. That's it. Specialist Theodore Jones. Specialist Carly Just. Specialist Tori Kamlitz. Specialist Aaron Cantor. Specialist Joachim Kazmierczuk. Specialist Emily Kilchowski. Specialist Alex Kanapa. Sergeant Tyler Coleman. Specialist Cole Kowalczyk. Sergeant Dawson Kraft. Sergeant Emily Kreisen. Sergeant Tyler Ogenes. Sergeant Joshua Leonard. Specialist Eric Leesberg. Specialist Taylor Lindvall. Specialist Michael Logering. Sergeant Tyler Mahold. Sergeant Austin Matson. Specialist Ethan McKnight. Specialist Iman Mohammed. Specialist Elisha Negron. Sergeant Mitchell Navala. Specialist Chloe Nord. Sergeant Kyle O'Brien. Specialist Brett Olson. First Lieutenant Lucas Perro. Specialist Jacob Peterson. Staff Sergeant Cody Pratchner. Specialist Nathaniel Presnell. Sergeant Justin Purdyman. Specialist Summer Purdyman. Specialist Aiden Putney. Specialist Ethan Quinlan. Staff Sergeant Rachel Ramler. Specialist Bryce Ressler. Staff Sergeant Shell Rick. Specialist Tyler Rispa. Specialist Michael Rockstead. Specialist Colton Saxon Paterka. Specialist Chloe Schaefer. Specialist Hunter Schomer. Specialist Macy Schulte. Specialist Jaden Selzler. Sergeant Trey Sherrick. Specialist Chessa Sherlin. Specialist Asa Schillig. Sergeant Jacob Sowers. Specialist Jeff Stadema. Specialist Mitchell Stoner. Specialist Jacob Stoskoff. Sergeant First Class Dustin Suko. Specialist Jade Swanson. Specialist Dylan Tuning. Sergeant Cassidy Vandenhoven. Specialist Jack Manink. Specialist Andrew Vasseur. Specialist Isaac Vetter. Specialist Pete Villanueva. Sergeant Clint Wagman. Specialist Ezra Walls. Specialist Grace Weibel. Sergeant Nelson Westall. Specialist Christopher Whidbey. Sergeant First Class Justin Willey. Specialist Savannah Wooden. First Lieutenant Cody Wren. Specialist Rex Anderson. And Specialist 17 soldiers. 17 soldiers answered the call to serve in 2 mobilizations. I now ask those soldiers to come forward to be recognized. Sergeant Autumn Abrahamson, Staff Sergeant Bruce Christensen, Sergeant Alan Flom, Sergeant First Class Alicia Glaze, Staff Sergeant Derek Hines, Sergeant First Class Dane Kruger, Sergeant Rochelle Lewis, Sergeant Jonathan McKeever, Sergeant First Class Cody Miller, Sergeant Dylan Narum, Staff Sergeant Joe Peterson, Staff Sergeant Christopher Pifau, Staff Sergeant Brittany Reagan, Sergeant Russell Rogers, Staff Sergeant Seth Stein, Staff Sergeant Nicholas Tradost, Sergeant Alex Weibel. Let's give a round of applause. The following 9 soldiers have mobilized 3 times. Please come forward to be recognized. Sergeant First Class Anthony Adlin, Staff Sergeant Darren Benoist, Sergeant First Class Matthew Binniger, Staff Sergeant Ronnie Garza, First Sergeant Jeremy Gowan, Specialist Joshua Scott, First Lieutenant Justin Valenti, Sergeant Eric Woodcock, Sergeant Scott Anderson, come on forward, guys. We also have 3 soldiers, one which is not here because he's getting ready to go on his now 5th deployment, but these gentlemen have now deployed 4 times. Sergeant Scott Anderson, Sergeant First Class Craig Mayers, and Staff Sergeant Derek Stratman getting ready to go with the ADA to CENTCOM for his 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Johnson and First Sergeant Gowan. As soldiers, when we are mobilized, we know and understand the mission that we must perform. While away from home, our physical needs are met, where we eat, and generally a roof over our heads. But as we all know, the mission at home does not stop either. Our families must go with their numerous day-to-day activities, such as keeping up with home, mowing the lawn, shoveling the driveway, preparing meals, getting the kids to sports and practices, scout meets, music lessons, etc. There are vehicles that need to be serviced, bills that need to be paid, groceries need to be purchased. The list of important tasks that keep a family running at home is endless. Please join me in recognizing our families for their sacrifice. The sacrifice of deploying soldiers is also felt in the community and businesses who share in the service to our country. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the employers of the deployed soldiers. Please join me in a round of applause of all of our employers, community members that support our soldiers. Thank you for your support to our nation's freedom. Behind every mobilization, there stands a group who continually goes out of their way to lift the morals, the morale and the soldiers before, during, and after mobilization. We would like to take this opportunity to publicly recognize them for their outstanding support. Please give a warm round of applause for the 191 Military Police Company Soldier and Family Readiness Group. We sincerely appreciate all that you do. On behalf of the soldiers of the 191st Military Police Company, we'd like to welcome Senator Hoban and Major General Dorman to the front as Captain Johnson and First Sergeant Gowan present the United States flag that accompanied the unit during this mission.
You guys get in the middle. Let's have the money shot. Got it?
Thank you, Senator Hoven and Senator Kramer. At this time, Captain Johnson and First Sergeant Gowan will present the North Dakota flag that accompanied the unit during their year-long mission. Lieutenant Governor Miller, will you please come forward and join Major General Norman? Thank you. I would like to once again thank the official party for their time and their words, and once again thank those soldiers and families for their selfless service to our country. We now ask Chaplain Stout to come forward and give the benediction. Please rise.
I am not the most important speaker up here, but I am privileged to speak on his behalf. The one who said, "Blessed are the peacemakers," is pleased to call you his blessed outlaws. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, as you watched over Abraham and Sarah as they traveled to the Promised Land, Moses and the people of Israel as they crossed from the Red Sea to the border of the Jordan River, and as you watched over Mary and Joseph and Jesus as they fled to Egypt and then made their way back home, so you have been with this unit and guiding them and protecting them as you called them to serve overseas and as you have brought them back home. Ask that you would be with them and with all who travel today, protect them and keep them safe on the roads, and bring them safely to their joyous reunions at home with those who love them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain. Please remain standing for the exiting of the official party. Ladies and gentlemen, this officially concludes our ceremony. I would like to thank the distinguished guests, families, friends, and employers, and the 188th Army Band for making this a memorable welcome home for our soldiers. Thank you very much for coming.